Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Degenerates podcast. Hey, it's Mike and Tony here. We gotta go now. We're going to go do a podcast, and we're doing it with you, so come and watch. We're gonna do a good job.
The winner of the $10 giveaway contest is Lisa Hildebrandt.
Hello.
And welcome to
The
Degenerates Book Club.
Book Club, that one.
We've got a good one for you today. Mike's read like 2 books.
Yeah.
And I've read like 2 books.
Whoa.
Even though we both said we'd only read 1, we both have 2. So,
I know, right?
we should get right into it. Mike, well, let's do it back and forth. Mike, what's your first book?
Okay, first book that I read, I'm still eating, so bear with me. I read Neuroplasticity by, Moheb Constandai.
That's an awesome name.
It is pretty cool. It is a pretty cool name. Basically, it summarizes my entire biopsych class in 150 pages.
Oh, so you don't even need to take that class anymore?
No, you do. It just summarizes it.
Oh.
But I swear to God, if I had this book in that fucking class, that would have made it like 10 times easier.
Oh.
So I probably would have gotten a 90 in that class, or higher if I had this fucking book.
Yeah, instead of that 89.
Yeah, instead of that 89. It also has entire pages devoted to just a little bit of information. Like, here's one that I have right now. The human brain reaches about 80% of its adult size by 2 years of age, and its growth is nearly complete by age 10. We now know, however, that extensive plastic changes continue to take place in late adolescence and beyond. So, the entire book is about plasticity, how the brain changes over time. So, talks about
neuroplasticity.
So some of it's about addiction, a lot of it's about like what was it called? Like the London taxi drivers who, before the time of GPSs and stuff like that, they had to literally memorize not every street, but like pretty much every street in London, which it's a clusterfuck there. So their hippocampus grew like a little bit.
If they have lived there then their whole lives, then it would be easier than for someone who hasn't lived around there.
It would be easier, but I doubt it would be by much. Because London's a really fucked city. Because so many fucking streets. Like if you saw they showed us a picture in class of what they had to memorize.
I've never been to London before.
Okay, well,
you're talking about England,
because you're never going to find
England, London, right?
Huh?
You're talking about England, London, right?
Yeah, that place.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I've never been there before.
Okay, I was about to say.
I've been to London, Ontario.
But no, yeah.
Yeah, but I've never seen how crazy the streets there are. Are they as crazy as the streets in Ottawa? Because the streets in Ottawa are stupid.
I don't know, probably crazier. Because, the product of, I don't even know how many years of just development in England. Because it started a long, long time ago. So it's just getting more convoluted as time goes on.
Well, what else do you have to say about your book?
I'd give it... doesn't go into detail too much, but it gives you a basic understanding of pretty much everything about neuroplasticity, which is good if you gotta use it for school. In fact, I had to read this book for school, and I'm pretty glad I did. Overall, it's like a 7 out of. It's like a 6 out of 10. It's
6
really,
out of 10.
It's really well written. It is really well written.
I don't know, 6 out of 10 isn't, that's not that good.
It's not that good, but the thing is,
I don't read anything if it's not a 9
cool
out of 10.
And stuff. It's just like it could go into very heavy detail, but that's not what this book is for. Just me personally, I would rather go into more detail.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, 6 out of 10. Solid score.
Awesome. Okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna edit this out. I have to go to the washroom.
Okay.
Sorry, but yeah, I'll be right back.
That's fine. I'm still eating. I'll just eat. Why that chicken so fucking leathery? God, I literally have to fucking chew it like leather. Like shit. Oh, fucking hell. Man, I should really mute my mic when I'm getting a cough. That's probably a good idea. Yeah, I did it. Wow. Kilo. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm back.
Okay. I'm going full right now.
What?
My office is full right now. So while you talk about your book, I can shoot.
You want me to talk about my first book?
Yeah.
Okay. It's the one that I said I'd read last time. It's the Necronomicon. And it's a book about it's got a whole bunch of ancient rituals and stuff for summoning demons from the old ones from like Lovecraft's work. It's a fictional book. It's not real. And I don't really like it that much.
Oh. Huh.
Here, I'll read you. Here's a pretty good conjuration. I'll read an excerpt from it. This is the conjuration of the fire god, and it's short. This is one of the shortest ones. It says, "Spirit of the fire, remember. Jibble, spirit of the fire, remember. Gira, spirit of the flames, remember. O god of fire, mighty son of Anu, most terrifying among thy brothers, rise. O god of the furnace, god of destruction, remember. Rise up, O god of fire, gibble in thy majesty, and devour my enemies. Rise up, O god of fire, Gira in thy power, and burn the sorcerers who persecute me. Gibble, Gatru, Umuna, Yanduru, Tushte, Yeshir, Ilani, Yalki, Gishbar, Yazi, Dinger, Gira, Kinpa. Rise up, son of the flaming disk of Anu. Rise up, offspring of the golden weapon of Marduk. It is not I, but Enki, master of the magicians, who summons thee. It is not I, but Marduk, slayer of the serpent, who calls thee here now. Burn the evil and the evildoer, Burn the sorcerer and the sorceress, singe them, burn them, destroy them, consume their powers, carry them away. Rise up, Gishbar, Bagibble, Bagheera, Aga, Kanpa, spirit of the god of fire, thou art conjured, Kakamanunu. And if you say that, then you're supposed to conjure the fire god, but I just said it. And nothing even happened.
It's probably very technical in the fact that you have to pronounce it exactly right.
Yeah, but this is supposed to be the Necronomicon that H.P. Lovecraft wrote about in his works, but it doesn't even have half the shit that H.P. Lovecraft said was in the Necronomicon.
Oh no! Also, the thing about Marduk and him slaying the serpent—that's a Mesopotamian creation myth.
Ooh, that's cool.
Yeah, because Marduk had eyes all the way fucking around his head, dude. I read about that in Maps of Meaning, and I really liked that story because it really is. It was very insightful to learn about ancient Mesopotamian culture.
Well, maybe you'll like the Necronomicon, but I don't know. I didn't like because I don't think it's worth reading. Because first of all, it's fiction.
Reading.
It's fiction. It's just a bunch of recipes. It's got some weird story about some guy who's yelling about how he has met all of the Dark Ones and how he's the writer of the book and blah blah blah.
So it's like Gravity Falls, but in in Lovecraft universe.
Yeah, but most of the book is the foreword is like 100 pages long. It's the instructions on how to read the book. And then the rest is pretty much all just recipes, and it's boring.
Yeah, yeah, it's probably exactly like something I wrote for my D&D group. I wrote a syllabus for my D&D group because my wizard is a wizard trainer and all that cool stuff. But yeah, nobody wanted to read it because it was a fucking syllabus for a class.
Yeah, it would be really cool if someone found a way to include the Necronomicon in a D&D game, though, and used it that way.
Yes, yeah. In fact, it probably exists. But I fucking love Lovecraft. He's a fucking creative dude. It's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing is, people say, he was racist, but, everybody was racist during that time.
Yeah, everybody was racist back then.
You can't exactly hold that against him. And he also, wasn't he also, sickly and also, a drug addict or some shit? He used opiates? I can't remember.
I'm not sure. The only thing that I know is that Walt Disney was a crack addict.
Nice.
Blue Collar told me that one.
Was a crack addict?
Yeah.
My dad fucking worships that guy.
Well, okay, but back to the Necronomicon.
Right, yes.
I give it, it's a book that you only buy it if you want to impress goth chicks who look at your bookshelf because they love books, and then they'll see the Necronomicon. They'll be like, oh, or you could be like, hey, want to come back to my place and see my Necronomicon? That's the only reason you want to buy this book.
Hey, baby, want to summon a demon?
Yeah, just put it on your bookshelf. Don't even read it. It's boring as shit. Yeah, if you have this book on your bookshelf, you look like an interesting person.
Or a fucking weirdo.
Yeah, well, I think weirdos are interesting.
Sure.
Okay, so what's your second book?
My second book is Modern Man in Search of a Soul by Carl Gustav Jung.
Nice.
It is a book. It is a book. Yes. Basically, it talks about a lot of the shit that he's worked on through the years and summarizes a lot of it.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so
So you don't even need to read any of his other books. It's all in one book.
No, you do, because this is just like the surface. He doesn't even talk about any sort of any of his archetypal transformation stuff. He only talks about like the thing that he talks about the most is like the collective unconscious, archaic man, and like the life stages. Stages of life. So basically let's start with archaic man. Archaic man's basically like, okay, that's man before this age of like science and reason and all that stuff, all that cool stuff. Who's to say that he's any less intellectually developed than we are? He's just essentially a different kind of man who's not interested. Who, if we look at tribes like today, like hunter-gatherer tribes, it's like they're not interested in taking tests and in reason and arithmetic and all that stuff. They're interested in doing what they can do to survive and to live their own lives, and that is evident in the dramatic, in the like they do like drama and stuff like that, and like music and all that. They do like they can hunt, they can gather, they have intense focus for those things, whereas we wouldn't. Unless we're like, I don't know, like hunters, like with guns and stuff, but then that speeds it along a lot faster. Guns do. So that's some of his ideas about archaic man. He talks a bit about the collective unconscious, which is kind of like how do I say it? It's similar to Plato's idea of recollection, in the sense that his idea is like we're born with all the knowledge that we will ever have, but we forget it upon birth, and then the teacher spends their time basically trying to get you to remember. It's kind of like that, except it's already latent in you, except it's just inexpressible unless through dreams or creative thought.
Yeah.
So, I marked this book up a lot when I was in like my fever dream, and I have like one sticky note that says "the gods inside of us."
The gods inside of us.
The gods inside of us. What the fuck?
That's cool. That's so.
Oh, collective unconscious interpreted as God. Okay, that's something that. Yeah, so basically, our collective unconscious was almost interpreted as God, in the sense that God is like all knowing, all powerful, and all good. Because children have an innate sense of morality. All knowing, collective unconscious already holds stuff that we know. That is expressible through creative thought. And is understood through creative thought. And then I forget the third thing that I was going to say. But yeah. It's pretty cool. It's really cool.
Yeah. I was going to say something about the collective unconscious. I forget what I was going to say.
No. Remember.
I think I agree with the theory of the collective unconscious, though. That's something that I've always kind of thought. Well, not always, obviously, but like it's something that as I've grown older, I've kind of seen it a little bit. It kind of seems like that's probably
like how do we all like stories of heroes and are intrigued by stories of villains and things like that? How do we all like sort of innately understand and are grasped by the story of Harry Potter? Like, what's going on here? It's collective unconscious, dude. It's a good theory that can explain most of these things.
It can explain memes.
Yeah, it can explain memes.
Because that's all a meme is just something that people can repeat, that people repeat over and over. That's like the definition of a meme right there. Mm-hmm. Doesn't even have to be funny or anything.
Or isn't the definition of a meme like a system that evolves over time that isn't biological?
No, I'm pretty sure it's like something that people. I think it's something that people can repeat over and over again, but I don't think it has like meme status unless they do repeat it. That's what I can look it up. I'm pretty sure the definition of a meme is something that people repeat.
Something that people repeat. That doesn't sound very. Like, that doesn't
An
sound
element
very
of
well
a culture
worded.
or system of behavior that may be considered to be passed from one individual to another by non-genetic means, especially imitation. So yeah, it's something that is passed down through imitation.
Okay.
Or it could, any
through
non-genetic
means.
means, but mostly imitation.
Yeah. Okay. That's cool.
So that would actually, that definition would, it would not allow for the collective subconscious to be a part of memes, though. Then, would it not? If it has to be non-genetic.
If it has to be non-genetic.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. It's hard to say what Jung was thinking at the time. It could be something along the lines of it is genetic, like, because he described it both in terms of the psyche evolving along with the body, but also, I think it also described it along the terms of it's like we learn it.
Mm.
But it seems like it is biological.
Mm-hmm.
So, I guess it would. So I guess.
Well, what's your score? What's your score of this book?
My score is 9 out of 10 ish. I wish it was more easily understandable. Cause I'm dumb, I'm small brain. But I didn't even get to like modern man because I don't understand what he means by modern man.
Oh.
It's like, fuck, I don't got. It's like, it's elusive to me. It's a fucking mystery.
Okay. Well, are we ready for my final book?
Yeah. Lay it on me.
Well, those 3 books came in the mail, the ones that I was gonna review next time, and I was so excited to read them that I finished reading one, and I'm half done the other.
Wow.
There's actually 3 of them, so there's one I haven't started yet. But I got them on like Tuesday or Wednesday. They came on Tuesday. And so I read, they're by Junji Ito. They're those horror manga.
Right. Okay.
And talking about H.P. Lovecraft, he was very inspired by H.P. Lovecraft.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And so I'm not finished. The one I'm in the middle of reading right now, Tomi, I'm gonna review that next book club. But I will say that it's very interesting so far. I like it more than the one that I did read. And the one that I am going to review right now, it's called Uzumaki, and it's about spirals.
Wow.
And from what I was reading, it sounded like these are some of like the scariest manga ever, and I was very disappointed because I didn't really feel that scared when I was reading it. I was actually laughing a lot because of just how ridiculous it all is. I mean, it's still really awesome. I think it's a great book. The artwork is really, really good for a manga. Because usually, like, you know, it's very simple. But the artwork was really, really detailed. And it's some of the best, like, manga art I've ever seen. But,
could each frame of it hold on its own, be like on its own leg in terms of like artwork?
Each page?
Yeah, could each picture drawn like hold its own in like a gallery.
I'm not sure. Like, it depends, like, what kind of gallery, because it would be obvious it was from like a comic book, and you were missing like a whole bunch of what was going on just by having the one image. But I think there are a lot of like any of the images that don't have people talking in them, actually, that don't have those speech bubbles, because that would confuse people.
Yeah,
probably. But yeah, there's a lot of them that I think could go up. It would have to be like some sort of horror art gallery, because a lot of them are really disturbing and like grotesque. You wouldn't want to see it beside Picasso or something, but they're still really well drawn. But like, I'll give you an example of like some of the ridiculous stuff, because like because there's like 20 chapters, and the first 12 of them are like short stories, and then there's sort of a linear thing, because it's all narrated by the same girl. But it doesn't really become a linear story until the 13th chapter all the way to the end. And the first 12 are like their own short stories, really. And in one of these short stories, there's this. So the town is slowly being overtaken by the spiral, and it's just a spiral. That's all it is.
Okay.
And so there are these row houses that are really old, and there's two families living on either side of this row house, and it's kind of like a Romeo and Juliet story where both those families hate each other. And it's kind of funny because they live right like in the same house, and the walls are so thin that they can hear each other through it. So they're like yelling, the families are yelling at each other through the house and stuff. It's kind of like, why don't you just move away? But it's kind of because there's a spiral at the house, and spirals suck people in. So that's the reason why people don't move away from this sort of thing. It's because the spiral is sucking them in, because your eyes are drawn to the center of a spiral, and that's it kind of explains it like that. And then the people are drawn to the center of the spiral. But like I said, there's a Romeo and Juliet love story where the daughter from the one family and the son from the other one really love each other. And they can't be together. The families are getting pissed off that they're trying to get together, and it's just escalating everything. And then the two kids run away, and they're at some abandoned place, and then they see some snakes mating. You know, they mate like they wrap around each other in spiral. So then what ends up happening is their family comes and finds them and tries to tear them apart from each other, but then they start turning into this giant snake thing, and they wrap around each other so that they'll always be together, and they can't pull them apart, and they're wrapped together like the mating snakes. And then the chapter ends with them going off into the water, and then they're never seen again.
Okay.
Yeah, like that's what I mean by the stories are ridiculous.
Yeah, I think if you had a background in, I think if you read, I think if you read, what is it called? I literally just talked about it. What? If you read Maps of Meaning, you'll probably understand what that entire story means.
What do you mean?
Because it explains snakes and, like, what they represent to us, as well as what sex also represents to us. And also, I forget, I don't have the book with me right here, Blue Collar has it. But it basically talks about, like, the medical symbol, you know, and how it's two snakes coiled around a staff. represents change and also, chaos. So it's both the destructive and benevolent, destructive and good forms of the creative and destructive forms of chaos.
Speaking of medical, there's another good short story. This one was actually the only one of the first 12 chapters. This spans 2 stories. And this, I'll tell this one, then I won't tell any more of them, and then I'll finish it up with the end and stuff. But so there's a story in it where the mosquitoes starts like flying around in spirals, and they attack like pregnant women, and they get like mosquito bites all over them. And it's really bad, so they have to go to the hospital. And what ends up happening is these people, they find these corpses in the hospital that have a whole bunch of holes in them, and they don't know what's going on. A whole bunch of holes all through these corpses. But then the main character, she was in the hospital for some other reason. I think she fell down the stairs or something in a previous chapter. And she gets up in the middle of the night, and she sees all these pregnant women. They've got this hand drill, and they go into other patients' rooms, and they drill holes in them and suck their blood to like mosquitoes to feed the baby that's in their belly. And then when those babies are born, their umbilical cords keep growing back. And the doctor at the place cuts up the placentas and feeds them to the patients. And it's because the umbilical cords are growing at crazy rates, and they look like mushrooms because the way the placenta is bigger, and they stick right up from the baby's bellies. So he just says they're mushrooms, but they're really like placenta, and he's feeding them to the patients. And then it ends with he tries putting the baby back. He puts the babies back inside. This doctor puts the fucking babies back inside of the mothers, and then the mothers become bloodthirsty again to try to feed the babies that are in them again.
Yes, that is understandable.
Yeah,
like it kind of is in some weird way.
Yeah, I thought it was ridiculous. I thought it was crazy.
You just need to have a more open point of view, dude. You just need to educate yourself on the placenta and what it represents to the human mind.
Yeah, well, but around chapter 12, a reporter shows up, and it starts getting more linear, and there's some amazing art, because as the story goes on, the art becomes more and more spirals, and there's some point near the end where, because at this point, the spiral has gotten so bad that the pressure from the whirlpool from the pond that's in the middle of the town is causing twisters and shit if people move around too much. But some people learn how to ride the twisters and stuff, and they're flying through the air and shit, and then they get into this giant fight with this twister gang, and there's 10 pages there where the art is just the people and spirals, and that's it, and you don't know what's going on. They're just flying through the air through a whole bunch of spirals. And I was just looking at those pages for so long, and I was like, I can't even tell what's going on in these, but these look really nice. Because it's just spirals with with the characters in the front. But I think that the story actually gets really good at the end, though. And the 12 short stories, they're set up for the ending, and it all builds up in it ends in a really awesome way. I still didn't think it was scary, but it was intriguing, and I was very into the story by the end of it. And I think it actually is a really good story, even if I didn't think it was scary. If it let me down for that, it was really good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Plus, the art is awesome too.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, it is good.
And do you have anything else you want to say?
Well, what would you rate it?
I don't think I gave a rating for the Necronomicon, so I'm gonna rate the Necronomicon 4 out of 10, and I'm gonna rate Uzumaki 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10 because, I don't know, I'm halfway through Tomy, but I already think I'm gonna give it a higher mark, because I think I like it right from the beginning a lot more. Even though the art, because Tomy is the first comics he ever drew, and at the beginning, I was like, holy shit, the artwork is not as good as in Uzumaki, but like still, like, it was his first comic, and then it gets better throughout Tomy. I'm already at a part where it is as good as Uzumaki, but right at the beginning, it looks like pencil drawings, and it's like, oh. It's not as good as, because, like, they're all pencil drawings, but it's like when it looks like someone just scribbled down some drawings on a piece of paper, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you're reading that book next.
And I'm also going to read Yo, which is about fish that have... They get, like, these military... as far as I know, fish find these old military weapons from World War II that were like spider legs, and all the fish get robot spider legs, and start walking around on the land, which I've seen some of the pictures from it, and it looks pretty freaky, just the fish with spider legs. Just the way
fish with spider legs. What the fuck? How do they survive on land?
Okay, and what are you reading next?
Currently it's gonna be The Brothers Karamazov, but that's like a 700-page book. So it's split up into different parts, so I could probably summarize the different parts.
Cool.
Yeah. I'll probably want to try and get a different book as well, because I think that The Brothers Karamazov is going to be like, because it's Dostoevsky, it's good fiction, but it's not like science and cool reasoning stuff that'll help me in psychology. So I'll do like other cool stuff. I'll read The Brothers Karamazov as like a side thing. But, I don't know, I might be picking up a book from... Actually, I have a reading list. Let's just open this really quick. Reading list. Either The New Executive Brain. I think I want to read Archetypes in the Collective Unconscious, because those are the two things that I'm most interested in. And then Psychology and Alchemy, both by Carl Jung.
Awesome.
Oh, wait, what's this? Yeah. So it'll be Collective Works of Carl Gustav Jung, Volume 9, Part 1. And I also might want to look into his Volume 9, Part 2, Aeon, Researches into the Phenomenology of the Self. So, yeah. And also Man and His Symbols. You can get all those three on Amazon for like $89.34, all three of those.
Yeah, that was how I got these three Junji Ito books, was Amazon, and it was about that price.
Nice. Yeah, I like it when there are deals and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, not even deals, just these things were like bought together, and you can try and find your own deals around them.
And you can use honey to get our sponsor, honey. You can get
honey.
You've never heard of honey?
I've heard of honey, but like I don't. Like whenever a YouTuber wants to advertise it to me, I'm just like, nope, skip.
It's
fuck ads.
It's a Chrome. It's a Chrome extension that it will go through all of your. Whenever you order something, it will find all of the discount codes that that you can use with it, and it'll get you discounts on like everything. And it's free. The honey is free.
But at what
just
cost?
No, there's no cost. It's free.
Yeah, but it might be looking at my purchasing history.
Yeah, it might be doing that.
Fuck that shit. I'm nah. Even though I have ad blocker, I don't want targeted ads ever. Except fucking, like, it's so fucking stupid. I have one site where it's like everything, and it's Kiss Anime and Kiss whatever the other one is, but like it's all fucking porn games, and it's like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, if you're buying stuff from Amazon, they're tracking all your purchases too.
Yep. Fucking, we can't buy anything anymore.
Well, no,
fucking the credit card companies.
We've got to go to a real store in person and buy stuff.
And cash.
Pay for it with money, and then no one will track us.
I don't want to go in person. Hell yeah, dude. Okay.
Well, I think that's where we should end the episode.
Yeah. Thanks for listening to our book club. I hope you enjoyed and have books that you want to read now because of us.
Even if it's not the same books, start your own book club. Everyone should do a book club where they read books.
Yes, book club is very important. Book club should be everywhere. I am a book. Okay. Thank you all for watching. It's been fun.
This has been the Degenerates Book Club.
With
Episode 3.
Episode 3 with Mike and Tony.
And it's been the Degenerates Podcast, Episode 15.
Whoa.
So, goodbye.
See ya.